Well, it's time to talk markets, and I have Effiong Gekop live in the studio, and of course, a friend of the house, investment banker, stockbroker, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, is also joining me via Zoom. Mr. Mohammed, it's a Friday, a rainy one. The market is closing in red. What does this mean?
Well, it's a rainy day, and the market is it's not raining in the market, but again, like you always know, I say the stock market is not a straight line. It has to have the curve, the ups and the down. And when the down come, then it's time for shrewd investors to take position. We'll continue to see this, especially in the financial stocks. We are still waiting for most of them to tell us what the prices of their right issues will be. So a lot of investors are looking at that space. We've heard from Fidelity Bank, we've heard from Zenith Bank, GTCO, we've heard for Access, but it's only Access and Fidelity that have actually told us the price, and then the right, what they didn't put the right and public offer. All others, we're still waiting to hear from them. So we'll continue to have those issues in the banking sector, especially then the conglomerate. You can see that it's not as bad as we thought, because the figures that comes in, some of the numbers that come in have been a little bit impressive compared to where they were sometime last year. So investors also are looking at that space. The brewery sector, the Nigerian brewery, Guinness, you could see there was upside sometime driven by especially Nigerian brewery was moving from a low of 23 to a high of 32. We've seen profit taking step in, and that movement was attributed to the news that came up that and they were purchasing new investors in Guinness, Nigeria, and they were paying the former investors 80 naira, and at that time Guinness was still selling for 50. So you saw those price movements. So we'll continue to see the market oscillate, and that's what it's always like. Especially in the second half of the year. We'll see that happen till we have the interim result or half-year results. And when these results come, always determine where it will be like towards the end of the year.
I'd like you to react to this news before I let you go, that Mr. Otedola regains his position as the First Bank majority shareholder. That was everywhere yesterday with about 9.4% stake. That's, I think, his stake at the moment. Yes.
To leave want me to react, I would say, okay, fine. Then I'll look at the price of First Bank. I'll look at the price of First Bank today, and it closed in the red. And I would say the reaction is that shareholders are not so excited.
Wow.
So that would be my own point, because if Otedola is buying the share yesterday, we're made to understand that he's the largest shareholder. Then today would have seen a lot of people trying to get that stock. But what we saw is that the stock finished on the red. So that means maybe a lot of people were now looking at First Bank was overvalued, and now that the elephant himself have gotten what he wants, then the price might just begin to trail down. So they are now looking to sell at the current price, because the price movement was due to because Mr. Femi Otedola was trying to have controlling stake. So if I look at that news and about what I saw in the market today, then I'll say it's not positive.
Well, let me hold your thoughts. Effiong is already nodding to what you said, and I want his reaction to that and his reaction to today's trading. Effiong.
We still see so many investors staying on the sales table. There is sell spray across market. And attention going to the banking subsector, it's cautious. As he said, only 2 banks are able to give us, pricing options. There are many of them that will come and beg investors and shareholders to assist them to do the recapitalization. One needs to be very, very careful, because now, investable funds, they are really very scarce. So you see all of the banks that will line up from now till next year, to take money from the market. Although the market operators say they are ready, they will be able to, make sure that money is available to them. But it will come from individuals and households and businesses, many of who are really feeling, the down. So many things will need to do. Huge level of, pressing what the banks want to bring to the public. Presently, you see many people having interest in selling off their holdings. I just can't understand why we have it like that. You understand? The volume of sales is going on so much, so big, Although those who have money and strategically wants to position themselves, they could take advantage of that. But the pressure that we have from economic indices eating down, on investable funds.
Mr. Mohammed, before I let you go, I really like you also to react to that, the external economy and all that we've seen around that. I know you're a regular analyst talking about issues, but how does this affect the market at this time and investors' confidence? Let's wrap up on that note.
Okay. Like I always tell people, the market has a life of its own. It's like a pregnant woman. When you're pregnant, you have your own life. And before you got pregnant, you have your own life. So you're living your own life. By the time you get pregnant, then the child inside of you will have to draw strength from your own life. So you are not the one to give that child strength to be able to come out as a healthy child. Yes. So in the market, first and foremost, some of these companies have a life of their own. They continue to be profitable. But for them to sustain the profitability of those companies, then the economy also has to be very stable. So that is why I say the companies have a life of their own, but after some time, they want to take in the life of the economy, just like a pregnant woman, the child will take up the life. So that's what is happening. To add up to what Mr. Effiong said in your studio, I think what we are going to see in this recapitalization is that we are going to see a lot of retail investors lose out, because as it stands now, is the high and mighty that will definitely came from this recapitalization, because they are the ones that will have the liquidity either to loan from the banks or be able to also they have the fund to take all their right. So what I advise all retail investors, instead of rushing to sell your share, just be there so that you can hang out with the billionaires. You also could be proudly say, I have the stocks that the $10, the G-Movia, the IQ Mokwede and others have. So you hang out there with them, and definitely this space will always pass through. And who are those people that will always attract to the market? I think the banking recapitalization, I've told you before in your program, it's not just driven because the banks are not liquid. It's driven because the CBN is looking at that space to stable the FX rate. So we're going to see a lot of foreign investors taking positions in these companies once those right issues are there and most people are not able to take the right. And remember, the banks also say there will be preferential investors that will buy in, and most of them will come in from offshore this country, foreign investors, and they're going to come up with FX. So I think at the long run, the Nigerian banks will be okay, the market will be bullish, and those investors that have been able to pressure, like I always say, two things you guide against in the market. The market offer you two things. It takes money from the impatient and give it to the patient.
I must thank you so much, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, investment banker and stockbroker. Do enjoy your weekend and have a profitable one. Even if it's a weekend. Yes, Effiong, let's take it up from where Mr. Mohammed stopped.
Tolu, I believe that the market really is stable, but we will find a way to help individual investors, the low-level earners, the retirees who had for long patronized the market and they want to stay, and buy into these stocks. So we should find a way to help them by making environment conducive and then the economy is stable. When this happens and then they are able to predict the level of dividend that they will get from their companies, you will see they will be happy and then they sustain their patronage. But as it is now, inflation and the devaluation of the Naira, they have impacted negatively on the incomes of retirees and shareholders, majority. If you were to be attending some of the AGMs and you hear retirees, the way they shout at those of them at the platform, the way yes, there is unhappiness they show very greatly. They shout, they are not happy. Even so many things have happened in the economy. So I hope that maybe after recapitalization, we will see everything will just get calm and then all just.
Thank you so much. Before we go, let's tell you that Asian shares are ending the week with worries after a recent rally to 26 months high, a due profit taken, while the relentless strength in the US dollar pushed the Japanese yen towards the intervention zone. Europe is set for a flat open, having bounced the day earlier as the rate code gathered pace. Both European 50 features and FTSE features were little changed, but S&P 500 features gained 0.2%. MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan fell 0.6% today, dragged lower by a pullback in technology shares struck in mixed sessions on Wall Street. Overnight, Japan's Nikkei was 0.1% and the yen remains jittery. Chinese stocks fell slightly, with Shanghai Composite Index struggling to stand above a critical level. The index is 0.1% lower, having slipped 5.6% since recent multiple months high in late May. Hong Kong Hang Seng Index tumbled 1.7%, extending the weakness seen